A little while ago, I asked you guys what you thought were the best and worst things added to GTA Online, and I've already done the video for the best things, so if you missed that, go check that out. If you were just here to hear me complain about the worst things added to the game according to you guys, then look at the timestamps below. And let's get right into it. First up, for Players Heists. The argument here is being made about how fun it would be to do pack standard solo or with a buddy. Removing all the fluff from the prison break in your main laps would make it perfectly duo friendly too. I would say that making stuff doable duo is okay, but making it solo only, no, I don't think that works, for the simple reason that these heists were made with co-op in mind, and I really feel that heists in general should be made with co-op players in mind, and the rewards for them should be there accordingly as well. Kyber Rico is a great way of making money, but as a heist, it is not good, because it is completely focused on being able to be done solo, and it's kind of suffering because of it. I've been over this numerous times. I'm not going to go into it again. Go watch the videos according to them if you want to know why I feel that way. Next up is the Orbital Cannon, or Oppressor Mk2, and GTA Plus. All of those three things. The Orbital Cannon was just plainly a mistake. You know, I think it's been poorly balanced. It cost $500,000 to $750,000 to use, but, you know, given how much money are people able to make and have, you know, it's not expensive enough, and I'm sure a certain guy from Ohio has ranted about this plenty, so I'll spare you complaining about it too. You know, I don't really think it has much of a place within the game, and it definitely needs well, either removing or serious adjustment, but I think the removing bit is probably the best idea, and I think something like this should not be in GTA 6 Online. No, I don't think it will be. The Oppressor Mk2, before the nerf, I would be like, yeah, okay, screw this thing and yada yada, but after the nerf, I think it's just not as much of a crutch anymore, especially if you're playing on like the newer version on PC and on PS5 and Series X, as the versions have added HW, which in my opinion is vastly superior than most people can probably do with an Oppressor Mk2. Especially with the nerfed rockets, it's not as much of a crutch anymore, but I still do feel that a lot of people are kind of like just using it too much as the end-all and be-all of vehicles to use. And it kind of like has eliminated literally any sort of other aircraft to be used. It's just an obnoxious little bike that's just flying around, and has it got a place in the game? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, generally speaking, my main gripe with the Oppressor Mk2 is that there kind of is a limitation in choice of vehicles as you can use. Like, everyone just tends to kind of gravitate towards, let me use the Mark II because Mark II good, and rest probably not as well, you know, because it's so extremely convenient to be used that it kind of becomes a little too convenient to be used. And that's probably my main issue with it, right? There's not enough other options for folks to go like, oh hey, that's just as convenient to use as an Oppressor Mk2, right? And I think because of the Mark II being seen as like the end all and be all, everyone is like, okay, that is the only thing they're gonna be using. So the illusion of choice has kind of faded away because of the Mark II. And that's probably like my main gripe with it, because I feel that people have kind of like gravitated towards using that and that only. In terms of PvP combat, not that good anymore, it's just obnoxious to deal with, and that's pretty much it. The nerf has been a very positive one, mind you. As for GTA Plus, I've touched on this plenty of times before, but I think generally speaking, it's nowadays a bit more of a nice to have than a must have type of thing. So I think like the idea behind GTA Plus has definitely improved over time, and I think that as we get closer to GTA 6, hopefully they'll stick to like a similar type of thing where you have like a bunch of nice to haves, but not a, oh, I really must have this type of thing.
I waited for you to finish your sentence, but you kept talking.
I did. Thank you for the food. I love you.
Yeah, that was a tasty meal. Num num num. Ah.
Obviously, one of the worst things mentioned by you guys within the question is obviously the flying bikes and cars as well. Now, I would be inclined to say that the primary issue with this is not necessarily the fact that we have flying cars and bikes and the argument of like it doesn't really fit in the game and yada yada. It's kind of a silly one to me because like we've had stuff like jetpacks and some goofier things within GTA as a whole for the longest of times. I mean, heck, a jetpack was a thing in GTA San Andreas, and frankly the list kind of goes on throughout the entire series. Having said that, I get the argument and, you know, I get it. However, from like a gameplay perspective, the main issue I have with them personally is the fact that they're just very poorly balanced. The Oppressor Mk2 as a whole is just really difficult to hit, especially if you're a PC player. It becomes very obnoxious to deal with given how small the thing is and how fast it is. Then on the other hand, there's something like the Deluxo, which has the same kind of tracking missiles as the Mk2 pre-nerf, but on the other hand, only takes about one explosive sniper shot if I recall correctly, and is completely down. Then there's the Night Shark, which for some reason can tank a total of 20 RPG shots, whereas the tank can only tank about 8. And then the original Rhino tanks about 4. Like, the difference there, as to give you some quick examples, don't make a whole lot of sense. Helicopters kind of go all over the place as well in terms of how much they can take in terms of rocket shots. And then there's the jets who can literally just, you know, fly out of nowhere. The Reju can get disabled with one singular explosive sniper shot, and then there's a Titan which pre-nerf had a bug which you can just disable with just one shot, which since has been fixed. The list kind of goes on with a lot of the balance issues within the game. And I think that is the primary issue with these futuristic vehicles, is primarily the fact that they're just simply unbalanced, and they're just needed to be a lot harder of a look when they were released in 2017, that they just kind of left them running rampant for the longest time, and that's why they got a bad reputation. The idea behind these vehicles is and will always be, in my opinion, from a Rockstar design perspective, that they were just simply meant to be fun. I very much believe that these were designed to have fun with friends as a PvE, like player versus everyone, rather than a PvP, player versus player experience. However, Rockstar was way too late with trying to bring balance to these vehicles and have since just become a really sour thorn in everyone's eye. And I think that if they were to implement vehicles like these added to a GTA 6 Online, that they very much should put fun and balance especially first. Yes, I would love for GTA 6 Online to be a bit more grounded like GTA Online has been with the past couple of DLCs, but fun should never really be something that should be sacrificed, because some folks might feel that the Deluxo doesn't really have a place within the game. The Deluxo very much is based on the DeLorean from like the Fast and the Furious movies, and at its core, it's just kind of meant to be like a, hey, that's cool, I get to play as the DeLoreans from the Fast and the Furious, Back to the Future. Where the fuck the Fast and the Furious come from? From the Back to the Future movies, right? But I understand the argument, right? I'm a little bit in the middle about it, right? While I really enjoy like the really fun vehicles like the Rocket Voltic and the Ruiner 2000 and, you know, the list goes on, the Phantom Wedge and those type of vehicles, the Deluxo also has its place of like it being a cool and fun vehicle, but it's just purely and just unbalanced, right? The Insurgent, for example, is another fun vehicle that requires a second player, so maybe the balance in like the more powerful vehicles would be the fact that you need a second player. I'm just kind of riffing on here and coming up with ideas as I go, but I really feel that, you know, stuff like an Orbital Cannon, etc., just should probably like be looked into, if that if you want to add it to the game, it's going to require like a couple of extra steps for it really to reach its true full power. Like you have, for example, with the Insurgent. Let's say, for example, if it should be something like an APC, if you want to use a tank, right? You need a second player in order to be able to fire their guns, probably mitigating a lot of the solo players that are just using and abusing these vehicles in order to try to rain hell upon everyone that moves. Funny enough, as you probably have seen in the best things about GTA Online, I named the Doomsday Heist in particular and the added difficulty that was added to the game. The worst thing is where everyone is currently ranting about the Doomsday and the bullet sponges that they are within there, as well as the fact that you can also just get rapid fire to death. Rapid fire bug is just plainly a bug. The way that it works, as far as I recall, is that the AI gets confused and it just basically just tries to like find multiple targets to fire onto, but then just dumps all the bullets into you. It's a really weird and annoying bug that is plainly just a bug, and as you are dealing with more powerful weapons, like in a Doomsday Heist or like for example in the casino mission Bad Beat, it becomes more prominent and annoying because of the fact that you are able to be dealt more damage with those higher damage weapons. It's funny enough also something that exists within single player, and I've also seen it happen within Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a core engine bug that I'm hoping that Rockstar will hopefully fix within GTA 6 and or GTA 6 Online. In RDR 2 it's a lot less prominent, and in single player obviously it's a little less prominent too, but it does exist. Is this something that's just a fault within the game? And frankly, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. I think for a lot of folks when it comes to Doomsday, it probably comes down to the fact that they don't have a good team, and they're probably trying to do this with randoms that constantly leave, and at the slightest thing is like, I'm not doing this, I'm leaving, You know, it's really annoying, and yeah, I think that's something that Rockstar is really unable to fix unless they decide to make every bit of content in GTA 6 Online to be done solo only, which frankly would just make for a really shit game. I'm sorry, but it's a multiplayer game. You know, you gotta deal with people that are not that good at sometimes. And LFG things are a thing, and you can probably find a player or two, or you can plug in a microphone, use a keyboard, or try to find a way to communicate with someone. And if you don't feel like doing any of those things and you just want to rant online about how shit the Doomsday Heist is because you got a skill issue, I don't know what to tell you. The game shouldn't be suffering from the fact that some folks cannot get something done. There's different types of activities that you can do in the game. Some things you're able to do, some things you're not able to do, right? You just gotta find a group or, you know, get lucky enough. I understand it's a really difficult for me to say because, easy for you to say, you're the YouTuber and the Twitch streamer who can just, you know, pull a rabbit out of its head and it's got a full team. I get that. I also understand that it's not as easy for other folks to just get a team together or do communication or whatever the case may be. I understand that. But I don't think that the game should be suffering from the fact that Doomsday is too hard when, relatively speaking, it kind of really isn't. Yes, it has those issues with the rapid fire and stuff like that, which is a bug that should have been fixed, and heist randoms is also definitely an issue. I know because I've done an entire series on it, but it's possible. I've done it multiple times, right? But you don't see that in the heist random series because, well, that doesn't make for interesting content in something that should just be funny. So I know from experience, heisting with randoms is possible, and if you are a relatively decent player, you'll very much be able to carry randoms through it. And what would even elevate it for a little bit is having a teeny tiny bit of communication going on to help carry them through it. Having said that, sometimes you're just going to be stuck with randoms that are just complete dog shit. That's something that neither Rockstar or you can fix. Some people are just ass. Next up, Arena War. I think I've said enough with that. Jokes aside, I've made a video on this like years ago about Arena War. I'm not sure how good it is, so I'll just give my opinions here. One of the things that is pointing out is that Gargoyle is basically like the only vehicle to be used. And I think my main gripe with Arena War is the fact that it doesn't have as kind of like the same kind of destruction as something as Wreckfest, which by default makes it a vastly less interesting experience overall. And I think most of the time Arena War just kind of feels like a glorified adversary mode, and vehicles, the way that they're handling and stuff, don't make for a very interesting experience, right? I feel that Arena War feels like it could have been a lot more. It could have been a lot more immersive, a lot more like, you know, in your face, brutal, like, you know, just utilizing abilities and that sort of stuff that frankly just is too much GTA Online, right? If something like Arena War would have existed in Wreckfest, it would have been fantastic because of those physics and everything that exists within that game. The destruction and everything like that is kind of lacking within Arena War, so it's like, you know, not really there. Like, imagine the smallest thing being possible that you're able to smack someone's wheel off within Arena War, which by default will make it a vastly more immersive and interesting experience rather than like, oh, my AC flipped over. I feel like Arena War is a really missed opportunity, and for me it will always be the worst fucking thing that I've played in this game. And I did the tier 4 challenge for it, which, you know, I don't want to talk about. It was terribly boring. Next up is the lack of cops and crooks. Yes, if there's one thing that on paper looked extremely cool and like something that was going to completely transform GTA Online, it was cops and crooks. I'm just gonna leave it at that because I think talking about it more is just gonna turn the comment section into you know what. If you want to know what exactly cops and crooks is gonna be like, I've made a video on that before, so go check that out. I'm based payouts on contact missions. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to hear the argument I've been making for several years again? It shouldn't exist. You know why? Because it punishes people who are good at the game. If you're someone who is a seasoned player and can get a mission done in 2 minutes rather than the average player in 5 minutes, you should be rewarded for being good at the game. It punishes players for being able to complete something quicker than the game has intended, which is just a silly concept to me and should never ever be a thing in the game. If you can complete something faster than what the game designers had in mind, too fucking bad. You're good at the game. It is what it is. It shouldn't be a thing, and considering the fact that Red Dead Online had a similar system, GTA 6 Online is undoubtedly probably going to have it, and I would be just as annoyed with it as I was in GTA 5 Online and in Red Dead Redemption Online. Or Red Dead Online, sorry. Crossing my fingers that they're not going to be doing that, because it doesn't make any sense to me personally why something like a heist doesn't have a time-based payout where a contact mission does have a time-based payout. Something that pays out millions of dollars that you can complete quicker and then get rewarded for being fast and smart and everything about it, versus a contact missions that you complete fast, you get money, right? I understand. Contact missions are meant to be like entry-level content that Rockstar was like, you know, okay, if you spend more time doing it, you'll get a bit more money. But the fact that if you are actually getting better at the game and you complete something fast and the payout turns out to be ass, it just doesn't feel very well, right? If you're a level 5 player, you played the mission the 10th time and you figured out, oh, if I go left instead of right, I suddenly know how to complete the mission a lot faster. And at the end of the mission, you just see that you get paid out $5,000 less. Next time, why would you bother to take a left turn instead of a right turn? And I know the whole concept of waiting and taking longer with missions is a really silly and stupid concept, because money per hour at the end of the day makes a lot more sense about completing missions faster. It's still just an unrewarding and shit feeling at the end of the mission when you did something a lot better than you did last time and actually improved your skill within the game, and then the game goes like, it's a dumb concept. I hate it. Speaking of things that grind my gears, the stealth in the game, and more notably the inconsistency, and I guess maybe the inconsistency within GTA Online as a whole, but stealth is definitely a very big offender of this. Look at, for example, at Puerto Rico. You can shoot people with a suppressed pistol and suddenly it's like, huh, I learned it. What's going on here? Meanwhile, you can do the same thing in a casino heist and everything is totally fine. The list goes on. Like, that's just 2 examples. But like, sometimes you can just run past everyone and you're totally fine. Sometimes a camera just instantly spots you, and sometimes you can run through 3 cameras within, you know, walking speed, and you're totally fine too. It doesn't make any sense. There's no consistency into what exactly gets you spotted and what doesn't get you spotted. Every single mission and every single activity has a different idea of what stealth should be. It doesn't make any sense. And there's also like other things within the game that just overall are very inconsistent, like a difference from one different type of mission to the other. And while it makes sense in certain scenarios and stuff like that, there isn't really a reason why certain missions have a vastly different stealth system than the other one. It's annoying, it grinds my gears, and it never ever makes any sense. Like, there's 2 different things at least that's consistent about the stealth. Either they're completely blind, or they're the fucking Terminator that suddenly spots you with having like eyes in the back of their head. It's weird. The removed cars, that's something that I would just really boil down to it being FOMO, better known as fear of missing out. This is a system that is undoubtedly going to be making its way back to GTA 6 Online, as FOMO is really just that thing where it allows people to go like, oh my god, I'm missing out on the thing. I really want to have this thing. I should log into GTA Online this week because I like that vehicle. I want to have that vehicle. So yeah, you know, as much as it's really dumb and annoying and the timing of it was just really silly and stupid, I think that, you know, FOMO is a very big thing within live service games, and I think you should really just prepare yourself for seeing something like that within GTA 6 Online. Here's just hoping that they won't remove any vehicles after the fact, because that's just a really dumb and shit thing to do. Next up is the matchmaking. Talk about pet peeves that I have with the game. The matchmaking is something that grinds my gears, that is just, man. Again, done a video on a deep dive onto how exactly the matchmaking is working and probably should be working, but it really just doesn't. There's so many different things that are broken about it, and you have to like wiggle your way around, and then hopefully after you get the second match done, you finally magically have people suddenly appear to your match. I think if there's one thing that they should be doing with GTA 6 Online is just ditch this being able to host your own jobs and that sort of stuff. Unless you want to do it like with friends in an invite only or whatever. But generally speaking, matchmaking should just be like, I want to do a deathmatch, and you just join a lobby like you do in Red Dead Online or Matchmaking 3. It is a much better way of going about it. And this whole, oh, let me just host each individual map, just it's too convoluted. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. And frankly, unless you're using Quick Zone, you might get lucky by finding something. But the amount of times the game tells you, nah, we couldn't find you a race, and then you want to find any job, and then you find a race. It doesn't make any sense. It's just really annoying. Also, something that should be brought over from Red Dead Online is definitely the party system. Like, you know, go a posse and then get into a match together. That's honestly something that should be a thing, because it's really difficult to get everyone within the same session. Obviously, you want to be on each other's team, play with your friends, etc. But then there's probably also the real issue of like balance, and I'd be surprised if GTA 6 Online doesn't have like skill-based matchmaking or something, because that seems like the popular thing to do. I wonder how they would even implement that, but I would love to have some skill-based matchmaking in Heist though. That would make heisting with randoms a lot more enjoyable. Probably another pet peeve of mine, the frequency of updates. If there's one thing that kind of shocks to me, really why GTA Online is still as active as it is that we get a DLC every 6 months, and then still for some reason there's a ton of people still playing the game. Quite frankly, surprised to me in a time where live updates and live servers are the name of the game, and most, if not all, video games get a new update every 2 or 3 months, and GTA Online is like, yeah, we'll be alright. They'll play the game alright. Yeah, just come back during the summer and we'll have another update. What's that? You want to wait until December? How about the same Halloween event from last year? It's annoying. And I'm really hoping that they'll adapt a more frequent update basis with the GTA 6 Online, because having to wait 6 months and sometimes even longer for a new update that is actually like a big and meaningful update, rather than like, here's double cash on running back update. It's, you know, I think the whole idea of like having like at least a piece of content, like a piece of gameplay like every week or so, is really just the way to go, right? Having a new car is nice, but it's not really something that adds gameplay, right? Like little game modes, little maps, like, you know, little bits and bobs, little events and that sort of stuff that lasts for a couple of weeks or whatever is something that really should be like the name of the game for GTA 6 Online, and not the way that they're going about it now. You know, frequent community challenges, etc, to give you an incentive and a reason to play the game and keep playing the game, because right now in GTA Online it is very much not the thing. Unless you're on the PC enhanced version and you recently figured out how much fun you can have with the career challenges or grind. But that is the list of the worst things that you think have been added to GTA Online, and, well, in my opinion, could have been learned from for GTA 6 Online. If you have anything that would like to add within the comment section down below, please do. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Now, where is my lunch? I was really enjoying that. Nom 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 nom.